welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I recognize that I can talk very slowly, and I want to remind people that there are settings on most, if not all, of the platforms where my podcast is. And those settings allow you to speed up my pace. So, if I'm talking too slowly for you, I do apologize. It is the way that I process in my mind when I'm talking about things that are important, and I want to make sure that I'm getting it correctly. So, please, please, please go ahead and speed it up so that it's more comfortable for you. And I want to also say that I am very new at this. This is way out of my comfort zone. And I truly appreciate all of your patience as I am really trying to figure out the best way to make sure I'm comfortable in my pace and make sure my content is something that you are willing to listen to and watch. Because I know how that is. I have watched things before that were very uncomfortable for me, and I just could not continue, and I don't want that to be the case with us. Again, I really appreciate your patience with me. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate any of your helpful feedback and all your comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today I am going to be talking about anxiety issues. I am going to be talking about wrestling with and overcoming anxiety. I have noticed in recent years that the issue of anxiety is being talked about much more openly than in the past. And many people are admitting that they struggle or have struggled with anxiety. Today, I'm many people because for years I suffered silently with anxiety. I didn't share it with very many people. I didn't even know I was dealing with anxiety for a very long time. And once I did understand that it was anxiety, I was embarrassed. So I would never admit that to people. I considered myself a strong woman, and I felt like that's the way people viewed me. So I definitely did not want people to see that weakness. Anxiety itself is normal. It's a natural human response that serves as the body's alarm system. It's called the fight or flight response. It prepares the body to deal with any perceived threats. So, according to professionals, that means it's necessary and it's also innate. It's a natural part of our makeup. It's natural until it's not. When it becomes excessive and debilitating, that's when it becomes a problem. I've learned that anxiety is thought to have many causes. Trauma is one. Trauma being the things that we deal with, the things that we experience that leave a bad impression on us, the things that cause wounds for us. Anxiety can be one of those wounds. Stress is another one. when we're in stressful situations, stressful relationships, stressful jobs, the stress of being a parent or a single parent, life is stressful. That can cause anxiety. I understand that personality traits can cause anxiety. There is something called an A1 type personality. Those are people who are very precise, very critical of personal imperfections, people who are extremely detail oriented, overly conscientious, and people who always feel like they have to show up for people. They can't let people down. There are also several medical conditions that medical professionals say contribute to anxiety. Substance abuse or drug interactions can also cause anxiety. They cause adverse reactions, which result in feelings of anxiousness or even result in anxiety attacks. Medical professionals also say that anxiety is an inherited trait. So there are also many things that can occur when you suffer from anxiety. Nervousness, restlessness, tenseness, sweating, excessive sweating, shaking, always worried about something, trouble concentrating, trouble sleeping. It also causes digestive issues. It causes people to hyperventilate where they feel like they are maybe having a heart attack, they are having a hard time breathing, things of that nature. Anxiety causes feelings of doom and danger and panic. And the people with anxiety often avoid certain triggers. For instance, I used to avoid elevators. The first time I remember showing signs of anxiety was when I was just a little girl, was very claustrophobic. My mother even had a hard time wrapping me up in my blankets at night. My arms needed to be free. I could not be in spaces where I couldn't get out of on my own. I remember a couple of girls locked me in a back room at church, and I thought I was dying. I screamed bloody murder, just went into a full on panic. My mother believed that my claustrophobia was caused by an incident that happened to me as a baby. She said that my half sister tried to smother me with a pillow when I was a newborn. So she feels like that's what caused it. And I guess based on what we just read, it could. That's a trauma. All I know is I remember dealing with that for as far back as I have a memory. The first time I experienced an anxiety attack, which showed up as separation anxiety, was after my parents divorced. My mom had to go back to work, so she had to leave me with people. I needed babysitters, but that proved to be an extreme experience for all of us. The first time she tried to leave me with one of her good friends, who I also knew very well because she had children that I played with, I had a full on separation anxiety attack. I screamed and I hollered and I ran out of their house and I didn't know where to go. So I just held on to the fence and I was outside yelling like a maniac at the top of my lungs for my mother, who, by the way, snuck away because she knew that I was dealing with this. And every time my mother tried to leave me anywhere, including my grandmother's house, this is what would happen. I would have a complete meltdown. I even had them at school. The first time my mother tried to leave me at school, it was so bad. Bad for me, bad for the teacher, bad for the students, bad for everybody. I remember having separation anxiety attacks all the way up until I was 8 years old. On this particular day, my mother had to again leave me at my grandmother's house, but my mother knew my pattern. So all the way all the way up until she left, she was constantly talking to me. She was constantly reminding me how big of a girl I was, how strong I was, how I would be okay, and how much I enjoyed being with my grandmother. She kept reminding me that she would be back before I knew it and that I was gonna have a great time, and I was trying to be all the things she said that I was. I was trying to be a big girl. I was trying to be strong. I was trying to be brave. I was trying to be okay with her leaving me. And I told myself that I was. And I walked my mother to the bus stop and she gave me a kiss and told me she would see me soon. And she got on her bus. And as soon as that bus pulled off, I went running behind it. I ran so hard and so long that I ran out of my shoes. And I was running and screaming after my mother until the bus got out of sight. And then I had to turn around and walk back to my grandmother's house, picking up my shoes along the way with the sniffles. My poor mother, she didn't know what to do. She dealt with it the best way she could, but she felt so sorry for me. She she kept telling me she didn't know what she needed to do to help me get over it. The next time I remember feeling anxiety was w when I was in my 20s, and it was shortly after I had walked away from an abusive relationship. I remember I was walking one day and all of a sudden I felt heart palpitations, and I didn't know what was going on with me. I remember feeling a little panicky, and I wasn't far from a doctor's office, so I went. That doctor told me that I was one of those A1 type personalities. He told me it was just angina and that I was gonna be okay. I just needed to find ways to de-stress. And that was the first time I really understood that there was probably something going on with me that was undiagnosed. But I continued to just move on through life as usual, ignoring it. During this time, I was not talking to the Lord. I recognized he was still showing up for me, but I definitely was not leaning on him. That was my era in which I felt like I could handle it all on my own. Looking back, I realized that most of my anxiety attacks occurred either when I was in stressful relationships or just getting out of them or after some trauma. My next big panic attack occurred 2 weeks after I buried my mother. I had a panic attack so bad for the first time it landed me in the hospital. And I was in the hospital for 4 days. They were trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I remember my daughter was sitting in my hospital room with me and she was saying, "Mom, I think you probably need to talk to somebody professionally." And she wasn't wrong. The doctor still did not diagnose me with anxiety. The last time I remember having a panic attack was about 7 years ago. By this time, I was so tired of dialing 911 and them coming to my house and basically telling me nothing was wrong with me that I decided I can't do it anymore. I have to figure out a way to get healed from this. I remember the moment I decided to give my anxiety to the Lord. For years, I would pray passively about it, but I never really submitted that condition to the Lord. I never called that thing out to him and said, "Lord, heal me of this. And if you don't heal me completely of this, teach me what I need to do when these things come." So it wasn't until I was completely fed up that I became determined to not have to deal with that on that level anymore. And I was not going to be taking medicine for the rest of my life because of anxiety. I just refused. So I decided to surrender that thing to the Lord. Philippians 4:6-8 tells us to not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, to present our requests to God. And it goes on to tell us what will occur after we've done that. Once we've presented our request to the Lord, then He brings us peace, peace that transcends all understanding. And that helps guard our hearts and our minds in Him. That passage feels like Paul is reminding us that in those moments, of anxiety, that's when we can become closer to the Lord. That's when our focus should be more on Him. That's when prayer and worship and getting in our Bibles should be our immediate response. That anxiety should urge us to go to God. And that's exactly what I started doing. My anxiety did not disappear immediately. There have been times that I felt like it wanted to come on me. Like I would start feeling it's almost like it's almost like suffering from migraines. You can feel when they're starting to formulate, when they're trying to flare up. It's the same way for me with anxiety. I could always feel when they were starting to flare up. And what I learned to do, what my immediate response is, the first thing is prayer. The next thing is worship. Since that became my practice, I've noticed that they are never able to flourish there. Those anxiety attacks have to calm down. There is something about worship and prayer and reading the Bible that changes thought processes for me. And I believe that other people can testify of this as well. Not just for anxiety, for other things. I've noticed if I'm starting to feel certain ways about certain things that I know are detrimental for me, if I pick up my word, I'm not thinking about that thing. Not much longer. The the two cannot exist in the same space. I've learned that. The Bible tells us in Philippians 4 and 8 through 9. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about those things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. That's what the Lord will do for us when we decide to take our minds off of our problems. First Peter 5 and 7 tells us to cast our cares, our anxieties on God because He cares for us. We're limited. He's not. So why not give them to Him? Why do we have to suffer with these things forever when we can easily trust Him at His word? Call Him on His word. When we talk to him in prayer, tell him what he promised us in his word. Believe me, God is not a man that he should lie. If he said it, he will do it. We have to put it in practice and we have to have faith. I'm not saying that anxiety won't ever try to rear its ugly little head with me again, but I'm confident that I know what I know about how to handle it. I'm not saying that I don't have struggles. I don't like small spaces, but I don't have a problem getting on elevators anymore. I know that if something happens, the Lord's got me, and I lean on him. I lean on him for everything. I have to. I don't know how I can make it without it. So I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Try him out and see. Try him out and see. I promise you, if you lean on him fully, truly, wholeheartedly, he's going to show up for you in the ways in which he should. So get before the Lord in prayer. Fervently pray and keep on praying. Get you a good scripture or two or three or four and meditate on them. Just those scriptures, repeat them, read them over and over again. Start journaling. I have found that writing out your thoughts, getting them out of your head and onto a piece of paper is extremely helpful. And did I say pray? Pray. Prayer changes things, and that's just not a cliche. It is true. Start moving. Movement releases endorphins. They make us happy. Get involved in a community. Get vulnerable with people. Let people know what's going on with you. They may be dealing with the same things. There are communities of people who have anxiety issues, depression issues. Sometimes they have groups for this type of thing. I myself have never been in one of those groups, so I want to caution you to make sure that it's constructive, it's helpful. Don't get in a group of people who are dealing with anxiety and all they do is keep you sad and anxious. Get in a community that can help you thrive. Get in a community of believers that can lift you up, can encourage you, and laugh. Laughter is good medicine. Proverbs 17:22 tells us a joyful heart is good medicine. It is key to our well being. I'm not a doctor, no, but these are all things I know to be true. They are things that I've practiced and things that I have researched. As always, I hope that this was helpful to someone. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, be joyful.